Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter, is causing trouble for her father again. This started with this tweet by Dr. Anastasia. Jewish contributions. Who owns OnlyFans? Leonid Radvinsky, #Jewish. Who owns most porn websites? Rabbi Solomon Friedman, #Jewish. Who founded Tinder? Sean Rad, #Jewish. Who founded Grindr?
Joel Simkai, Raute Jewish.
Who founded Bumble? Whitney Wolf Herd, #Jewish. This prompted a response by Michaela. I cannot believe I'm seeing Nazis in my lifetime that didn't grow up in a cave. She's an MD. Spewing cherry-picked data while completely ignoring facts like almost 30% of Nobel Peace Prize winners are Jews. Maybe there does need to be some more content moderation.
At Elon Musk.
Yes, I think the Nazis on X equating Jews with rats and using hashtags like filth should have more content moderation/censorship. No, I'm not retracting that statement. This is ironic because Jordan Peterson has been a champion of free speech for years now.
Important speech about important issues, especially contentious issues, is instantly offensive.
Candace Owens chimed in on the situation.
We believe that you can have a disagreement with somebody without calling them a racist, a Nazi, all of these names that they're called because you're not actually disputing their ideas, okay? That's what it means. We believe in the battle of ideas and the best ideas should win. I think right now she has the wrong idea about free speech. I do. And I would welcome a discussion with her, right? Like I said, this doesn't dismiss all of the work her father has done. I think that it warrants a discussion about whether this is her opinion or whether it's both of their opinions. But I'm not really clear on that. But again, let's just take it for what it's worth. Michaela Peterson is saying this. Dr. Jordan Peterson is not saying this. I would like to have a conversation with her. I reached out to somebody that has access to her. I said I would welcome to have a discussion on my show because I'm not here as a believer in cancel culture. I don't think you're like, hey, well, this person should be gone forever because they have a bad idea. People can be wrong. People can transform, but they should own it when they are wrong. And I think she's extremely wrong on this point. So Michaela, if you're watching, I'm sure you are because you hopped into our comments almost immediately when we covered this topic before. Again, just calling people names because that seems to be where you're at right now. I would welcome a well-meaning discussion with you. Like genuinely, I want to know where you are at on speech because I just find it to be very inconsistent with things that you have said in the past. And then, like I said yesterday, your family has made a lot of money as people that were advocating for freedom. Okay, so if that has shifted, it is understandable that you are going to be receiving backlash. The backlash is not a conspiracy. The backlash is an opportunity for you to clarify your perspectives. And maybe you have shifted your perspectives. That's welcome too. But I would like to know what it is that you actually mean.
This was a sentiment also felt by Jordan Peterson not too long ago.
Let me move on to another debate that's been very controversial for you. And this is, you got in trouble for refusing to call trans men and women by their preferred personal pronouns.
No, that's not actually true. I got in trouble because I said I would not follow the compelled speech dictates of the federal and provincial government. I actually never got in trouble for not calling anyone anything.
Right.
That didn't happen.
You wouldn't follow the change of law, which was designed
not
to
once it was
outlaw
law.
discrimination.
No.
Well,
that's what they said it was designed to do.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I have exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on. And that is what you should do. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
Michaela Peterson received a lot of backlashes on Twitter for advocating censorship, which meant that she had to explain her position.
Anyway, Nick Fuentes, I don't know because I don't care, a well-known anti-Semitic boy went after me along with his thousands of anti-Semitic followers because I said that people who use the hashtag filth or rats when referring to an entire nation of people should be censored. Like I said, this was after I got attacked for retweeting a medical doctor who had the original anti-Semitic post, retweeting it in a negative way. Again, I meant these people's content shouldn't be pushed by the algorithm. I shouldn't have said censored. And Nick Fuentes responds with, your dad called me a rat. And I would like to clarify, I think calling individuals rats or whatever is fine. particularly if they are rat-like. I think it's different when you're referring to an entire nation of people as rats that have been subject to, say, Hitler less than 100 years ago, when the Nazis of the 1930s also referred to those people as rats as a tactic to breed disgust. So yeah, I think referring to Jews as rats is completely different than referring to Nick Fuentes as a rat. And if you can't understand the differentiation, I can't help. Social media really allows views to propagate unnaturally. If some of these anti-Semitic tweets were spoken in an ordinary public setting, the individual would be being punched. But then these views grow and their followers go out into public thinking everyone agrees with that view. I don't think freedom of speech is the same thing as being pushed by an algorithm. I shouldn't have to go on TikTok to hide propaganda pushed by the Chinese government, and I don't want to go on X to hide Nazi posts from my feed. Nothing against Elon here. I think there are bots or fake accounts behind a lot of this, and possibly funding from Iran.
This was followed by some friendly advice by Candace.
I think Michaela Peterson, if she feels overwhelmed by Twitter and free speech, is free to delete her account. And I think she should. I genuinely said yesterday to her, because she's just been like on a spiral about this, that maybe she just needs to take a break from social media. You know, there have been tons of actresses like Selena Gomez who are like, I just need to take a break from social media. Maybe she needs to take a break from social media because she's feeling overwhelmed. That's fine. But again, her other method of, first off, lying, denying, and then trying to shame or make people believe that this was about something else other than the fact that she made a direct call for censorship, for which she's sort of halfway admitting she was wrong. That's a nonsense. And it's something that needs to be called out. People that are going, why are we attacking our own side? Because we are recognizing this is not our side. We believe in free speech. That's it, okay? If she is calling for censorship, she's no longer on our side. That's
Jordan
it,
Peterson
okay?
came in defense to his daughter with the following tweet. Hey, new Nazi troll rats. Anonymously trumpeting your anti-Semitism doesn't rescue you from your mother's basement, or from the demon of resentment, or make you more attractive to the women who take one look at you and shudder. And rightly bloody so. You are despicable bottom-rung cowards.
Using Gaza 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 Hamas Hamas.
As camouflage for your detestable cluster B psychopathy, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and of course, sadism. I've got your number, you pathetic tantrum toddlers. You don't even have the courage of genuine bullies. You Cheeto dust-covered sweat-stained white t-shirt, hide behind your mommy's skirt scum. Disgust is wasted on you. What happened to in order to think you have to risk being offensive?
But there are ways that you can share, I guess, provocative views where you attempt to still do that with an air of, say, respectfulness, where you're trying to mitigate against the offensiveness.
This is true, yeah. You can actually try listening when you're having a conversation, right? Assuming that both people who are having the conversation are of goodwill and they're not trying to play tricks and they're struggling towards the truth, which neither of them hold completely and both understand that. Yeah, you can reach across fairly large gaps and negotiate peace. Thank God for that, or we'd be at each other's throats all the time.
Well, say the example of there are some transgender people who want to not be referred to as he or she. They would prefer to be called Z or they. Mm-hmm. If somebody wants to be addressed like that, what does it cost me to do that?
It's hard to tell because the devil's always in the details. But as far as I'm concerned, that situation it's not relevant to the issues, for example, that I was involved in. I didn't care if transgender people wanted to be called by some pronouns, like whatever. That's something for individuals to negotiate. When the government makes that a compulsion and insists in their legislation that biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual proclivity vary independently, it's like, no, they don't. That's wrong factually, and you're not going to compel my speech. I don't care what your damn justification is.
So you see that as, am I right in that you see that as a curtailing of freedom?
It's worse than a curtailing of freedom. It's a demand that the population uses a certain kind of linguistic approach. It's an appropriation of speech. There's no excuse for that. That never has happened once in the history of English common law, right? It's a barrier that we do not cross. Hate speech laws are bad enough. It's not like there's no hate speech. Like anyone with any sense knows that there's hate speech. Who's going to regulate it? Who's going to define it? And I know the answer to that. The last people in the world you would want to. And then we cross another barrier and we allow the government to compel speech for some hypothetically compassionate reason? No way. That's a really bad
It seems
idea.
Jordan Peterson was not done yet. I apologize for calling you a rat.
@Nick Fuentes.
Rats are just animals. They happen to be an enemy of mankind. So they are like you in that regard. But they are merely acting on instinct. Whereas you are motivated by a willful ignorance so deep that it's a kind of miracle, in combination with a profound malevolence. So I was unfair to the rats. Hence my apology.
Take note. Et Michaela Fuller.
Jordan Peterson has built himself as somebody who is calm, who is rational, who relies on logic, who is a person who believes in radical free speech. He's now coming to the aid of his daughter and essentially doubling down on calling, this is again a 62-year-old man, calling a 24-year-old a rat.
After that exchange, the following video started trending.
To come see his house and talk business. And he flew me over there. I was there for a day. He was talking about starting a paywall, trying to figure out how to monetize content. So we took a couple of photos, one's in the cigar lounge, and then I flew home. Just because I flew over there and talked to him doesn't mean there was anything sexual that occurred.